Hello and welcome back to A Better World. This is your host, Mitchell J. Rabin, and we're very glad you're joining us again today. Today we're going to have another very interesting show. We have two guests with us who are the authors of this book, Living Without Death, The Experience of Physical Immortality. So that's going to be the theme of this show. Jim Strole and Bernadeane are our guests today, and we're going to be speaking about probably the most important, far-reaching, and earth-shattering, you could say, or psyche-shattering subject that you could really probably conceive of, which is the idea of not dying and having a physically immortal life. What is it? Is it possible? And what are the implications of it? So that's going to be the theme. It's a favorite theme of mine anyway, so I'm glad to have two people on who have dedicated their lives to the promulgation of this idea and helping people really get it through their work in their community in Scottsdale, Arizona. So welcome to the show, both of you.
Thank you, Mitchell. Thank you very much. It's great to be on your show.
Good.
Thanks
So
for having us.
Absolutely. So it'll be a notch or two above Larry King. But
Great.
they were on the Larry King show. That's what that means. What was that like, by the way?
You know what?
Just out of curiosity.
You know what? It was really fun. He had Jerry Falwell on as our nemesis.
Oh, really?
Yes. And that was quite a controversial show, to say the least.
Oh,
We kept talking about
sounds like
physical
fun.
mortality. He kept bringing out scriptures of why you can't live.
Really?
You can't be here forever. But Larry was great. He actually was with us. I mean, it was quite amazing because he has a real feeling about living. In fact, even after the show, we had a picture with him, and he put his arm around us and he said, "I hope you guys are right because I really want to live." Yeah. So as you know, since that time, he's had another 2 children, and so he has all the more reason to live. New marriage.
And 2 children, yeah. So,
That's fabulous. So he's really making a commitment to living for
he
at
would
least a
like
long,
to,
long,
he
long
would
time.
like to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How healthy.
Yeah.
How
Very healthy.
response.
Very
Yeah.
healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me, what is the essential premise and what gives you the idea that you can just come along and say, we will live forever? What is that?
Well, we think that the physical body has been ignored and has not been given the benefit of being as magic as it really is, and how wonderful it is, and that every organ of the body, every cell, of the intelligence of the body, we feel can go on and on and on, given the right environment and the opportunity to do that, and stop being ignored. We've given everything around us a recognition but the physical form, and this is what we're about.
And we think it's really time. I mean, the time is ripe. We've all gained a lot of knowledge about living. Just being here in New York has been fantastic. We've met a lot of really great people with great ideas of living, real passion for living, all kinds of, if you might say, enlightened ideas. What I want to do, and what we're about really, is encouraging everybody to use all the truth they've got, all the enlightenment they've got, to really create a living that is without death. I mean, to me, death is our worst enemy. And what's more important? Is it more important to be alive? I mean, do you like being alive, or is death okay to you? So, I mean, we are excited about being alive. And I want to say, to make it real clear to our audience, Mitchell, that we're talking about physical immortality, not spiritual immortality, just to make that clear. We're talking about our bodies, your body, going on forever. We think that, like we said, in the right environment, and the environment is the key, that our bodies have the ability to continuously regenerate, to continuously renew themselves. But we've created such a toxic human environment, emotionally, psychologically, not only the environment out here, but mainly I'm speaking the human environment, the way people treat each other, the abuse and everything that goes on. So we're about creating a human environment that's conducive to living forever. The body's magical, as you know. I mean, the body has the ability to continuously regenerate. It's like a flower that's thrown, though, on barren ground. You don't have the nutrients, it's not going to blossom. And so this is what we've done to each other as human beings. What greater purpose that we could have to use all of our knowledge now to create a deathless world? Just imagine what that would do. Instead of getting worse the longer we're here, decrepit the longer we're here, therefore losing
Energy.
our energy.
Life.
Yes, exactly. Our talents and our abilities go into the ground with us. We live and we get better and better and better. And this is what we're saying. We can get better all the time the longer we're here, but we've got to start to boost each other. There's a nutrient that comes from the cells and atoms of our bodies when we are willing to give that, and there's that reciprocation of life between each other that builds the flesh. We call ourselves architects of flesh.
Yes, and
It's sort of like being a fleshy architect.
Exactly.
Right.
There you go. There you go.
and there's a saying that's going around a lot now: die healthy, and we're talking about that. Really, how
Die
can you
healthy.
die if the body
heard
is
that?
healthy?
I haven't even heard that.
Yeah, we heard a lot.
Die healthy. You know, do
I've
everything
heard
to
the old
live healthfully. You know,
And then die healthy?
and then die healthy.
It seems
And
like an oxymoron in a
Yes,
sense,
absolutely.
you know.
it is.
and
Totally.
really, I found that the longer I've been here, the stronger I feel, the better I feel. I've given to that. I'm not planning for my death. I'm planning for my future. And there's something about that does something really amazing to the physical body.
Well, to me, that's the most interesting part of the whole idea of physical immortality, is what happens when you entertain the thought that
Right.
I am physically immortal. It creates a biochemical reaction in the body
sure.
and the being on the level of energy and the soul that goes, oh my God. I used to have a Tai Chi Chuan teacher who used to say, and I don't like the exact phrase, but he used to say, you're doomed to live. In other words, get used to it.
I like that. I like that.
Do it well,
I like that.
and make friends because you're going to be with everybody forever.
Well, this is a good point. We were meant to live.
Right.
That's
You know,
right.
we were meant to live. And we're meant to keep going on, and we're meant to get better. Our bodies are built that way. But we've been programmed to die. And people look around and they say, oh, that's crazy, the idea of physical mortality. People die all the time. Well, we think it's crazy to die. Death is a disease, and it's a curable disease. And this is what we're out to do. But there has to be a different environment. You can't be just thinking, oh, I'm physically immortal, and keep living out the same old environment, the same old way you've always lived. That's so death-oriented.
Right.
You've got to have an environment change. And this is what we're about. In Scottsdale, where we're from, already we've created an environment there that's conducive for people to live forever. And it's not, there's things that change all the time. There always can be more. It's not.
Are you involved with live foods and things of that sort, or
We have people-
I mean, are you
yeah.
vegetarian, and are your the level of food nutrients
Yeah.
in alignment with this idea?
Yes.
Not to say that it needs
well-
to be limited from my point of view. I'm just asking
Right.
if that's
No,
part
no, it's a
of
very good question.
creating an
Right.
environment,
I
a
think
conducive
it's-
environment.
Yeah, I think it is important what you put into your body, what you eat. I feel, though, that every individual is different, and each person has to really take a responsibility of their person and get in touch with what really works for them, food-wise. We don't put everybody in the same basket together. Some people eat raw food, some people eat meat, some people don't eat meat, some, that sort of thing. We know that exercise and all of these things, everything that you can do for the body is so important, but it doesn't keep the body alive. It takes. I'm a great exercise. I work out 2
You
times
guys
a week
rode
with a
up
trainer.
and down the
Yeah.
Hudson River today for
Right.
hours.
Yeah, that was fun.
And we love that. But it really takes. There is a nutrient that comes from one another that stirs the person, stirs you
The
in
body
a
electric.
the body electric in a way that the food doesn't do, or the exercise, and that's what we're experiencing a lot. We're connecting with people that really give me something that I don't give myself, and it sparks me to think differently, to feel differently. It's wonderful.
Well, I think
There's an
it's-
interaction that's so important with one another. A
I think
communication.
it's called love.
Well, that
I mean,
does
that's what I
that does have its place within.
Yeah, right. I
yes.
mean, that nutrient is
Well,
that
yeah.
loving energy of interaction, of humor, of play, of joy,
for
of
sure.
But like yourself, and we use the expression all the time, love is not enough, because if you don't, you can love somebody, but if you don't actually proactively move to really be there with that person, nurture that person, there's too much love.
other words, express it.
Love can actually be exploitative many times. It's a way of, you love somebody, and people a lot of times will love another individual. They'll say they love them, but it's almost like it's a addictive behavior rather than a real feeling for that person. So we're talking about a deathless love, and we speak of these things because we talk about all the time of taking the death out of everything, taking the death out of money, taking the death out of love, taking the death out of relationships, coming from an immortal place. This is what I mean. You got to change the environment and the human environment to really live and to feel your body, feel the electricity flowing through your body in a whole new way. There's got to be a whole different way of being, a whole different paradigm. Sure. That's why we're here in New York, to find more people who want to live this way. And we're finding people all over that are excited about living. Some aren't at all. We'll get responses like, oh my gosh, I don't want to live forever. The world's terrible. Well, of course, there's terrible things in the world right now, but that's no excuse to die. I mean, we can make it better.
That's more of an excuse to live
That's
more
right.
fervently.
Exactly.
You know, to step up to the plate and do things.
Right.
I want to come back a little bit because there are many ways in which we're talking about immortality and creating an environment, and there are many levels to it. One is the biochemical level. I asked about food, and I see that only as one nutrient. You mentioned another nutrient, which I called love, and you said there isn't enough. Or it's not enough. Okay, fine. So maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
Well, what I meant by that,
I'm
sorry, go ahead.
But to finish this idea, I wanted to just say that in support of what you're saying is the Institute for Aging did a study on cellular life many years ago. And they found over 20 years ago that a cell that's continually hydrated lives on and on. There is no reason for a cell to die when properly nourished.
That's right.
In this case, by water. And water is much more of a nourishment than just a solvent. It's not just a liquid. It's got food in it.
That's right.
So when a cell is properly hydrated, it lives forever. So if we're just a colony of cells, we therefore can, from a scientific point of view, live forever. Now, there is a give and a take and an exchange here, because there are things that we have to do is look at nature, and we see the passage of the seasons, and we see a leaf bud in the spring and live its life, and then in the autumn fall. So what do you say about that?
Well, I say we're not nature. We are. Yes, that's right.
What the hell are we?
I'm not a tree.
Right.
You know, I love trees. I'm not a fish in the sea.
Right.
I love them and enjoy, the beauty of it all. But I'm a species that has the ability to conceptualize, to rationalize, the human being has the ability to think and to move unlike any other species on Earth. This gives us the ability to make changes, to make quantum leaps when we give ourselves to that. Now, the human being also has a strong resistance to change. So there has to be, many times, a crisis in that person's life for them to make any kind of change at all. But that's why we're speaking physical mortality, because it is a quantum leap out of an old world. It touches the nervous system. Just like some people might be watching it right now and it'll touch their nervous system. Maybe they'll go, oh my God, that's crazy. Or some people go, whoa, I felt that all my life. So it touches the nervous system. And that's what has to be touched for there to be a really, really change. But the human being is different than any life form on Earth. Because we have the intelligence.
So because of the intelligence you're saying,
yes,
we embody beyond the other aspects and beings, sentient beings of nature.
That's right.
We have that capacity to go, okay.
Exactly.
Right.
The fact is, I agree with you.
Thank you. Well, the fact is, I think all of life really is groaning for the coming forth. Of us and who we really are to be on this planet. Because unless we do end death on our own bodies and abuse to our own persons, we're not going to end the abuse to the environment that we do. Because we're just people passing through, and when you're passing through, you don't have an investment in the environment. That's the consciousness, like going to a hotel room. You don't really clean it up because you're just passing through. Well, we're here to stay. We have an investment.
But that's a different story.
I do too.
Yes.
I'm that way
yes.
as well.
Yes. But yes, you're that way, and I bet you're that way to a great extent. But if we really catch things and really go when you're here all the way, totally invested, and that's what I was speaking about love. When you're totally invested in a person and you're moving all the way, it goes beyond love. It is into a cellular nourishment of each other. And this is what we're speaking of here: a cellular life, a whole different species coming forth.
Sure.
So out of the ashes is coming a whole new species.
It's very interesting.
And I get excited. I know.
Hallelujah. Get excited.
Thank you.
If you didn't, I'd get depressed. We're talking about creating an environment, you two. It seems to me that the internal mental and psychological emotional environment is one of the most critical ones that needs to be shifted and upgraded. And what that means in this context is that death, what if we just say death is a belief system? That to the extent that we believe that it is a natural and inevitable expression of life, to that extent we will fulfill it. Because what we understand about the way the human mind operates is it follows that path.
That's right.
But you free yourself up of the belief of dying, and you replace it with a belief in always living, that's what you will get as a result.
Exactly. I find that working in my person. Yeah, it's definitely true.
Now, you know what? Along the same line, to even challenge the belief in survival. I mean, I spend actually a fair amount of time looking at these things and thinking about them because I think they're really interesting. Because when we move from the reptilian brain into the prefrontal lobe, where we have experiences of love, of brotherhood, of unity, of all the virtues that are spoken of in the great wisdom traditions, we get an entirely different fulfillment of human potential there. It's just another part of our nervous system that's getting activated that is otherwise dormant. And that includes things like breatharianism, really, of challenging the whole idea of the survival mode and that we need food or even water. I mean, it goes really far out that all the things that we think we need, what if we were just to think of them as a belief system? Anyway, I'm just opening up the door since you opened up physical or mentality. I'm bringing everything else with it.
That's great.
Right.
I think everything else comes with it. When you're
Right.
alive, that's the great thing about it. You know, you don't have to. It's so exciting because some people have said, "Wow, living forever, that'd be boring." Well, they're seeing,
I don't think so.
Well, exactly. Well, they're seeing it out of their death-oriented eyes still, a boring life they've got. So when you really wake up, though, to a new life, I mean, there's something more exciting every day. First of all, we're universes within ourselves. I mean, there's constant exploration of each other now going on. Right here in this room, we're exploring the cells and atoms of each other's bodies. And so that's endless. So when we speak of food, and we speak of, breathing, all those things, they're all great. We don't put down, though, any dogma as far as anybody the way to eat or anything, because we feel that dogma will kill you in itself. What we say is everybody get in touch with what really works for you. And most of all, focus on being physically immortal. Focus on the powerful divine body you are meant to be, that you are, the physical immortal cells that are already in your body that are ready to come alive. And begin to move and ignite those. And this is what we're, like I say, doing here in New York. We're speaking to people. We're not bringing immortality to anybody. We are physically immortal. We're moving to ignite that physical mortality in other bodies that's already there in them.
That's right.
I hear you.
That's great. That's great.
Bernie,
I don't
weigh in.
have anything to add to that. That's great.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
We got a lot to add.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
You guys have been at this for a long time, and
Yeah.
it's beautiful. I look at things kind of phenomenologically. And what that means is that whether it's true that we are physically immortal or not, to me, it's really interesting, and I personally believe it. But from a practical point of view, as a Taurus, what matters is that if people think it, so it will be, number one. And number two, as we think it and hold that to be true, so our lives are so deeply enriched. And that's what I feel in my reading your book and listening to your DVD and being with you. I get the sense that that's your most important wish for humanity, that they step up to the plate and really kind of grab life, seize the day, just really become alive in the physical body, exalt the human body, sacralize it, allow it to be as high and divine as any other notion on the planet. There's nothing less, in other words, of the material level of reality than what we call the spiritual. I think that's really important. And I think that that's what, I don't want to be putting words in your mouth, but I feel that what I feel called to do is take a bigger bite out of life when I listen to the two of you.
yeah, that's great.
You know, I say,
Right.
my God, these guys are really calling us out to just take responsibility for our lives, take responsibility for our planet, which is our home. So clean it up. Don't make a mess.
That's right.
Live as though you will be here forever.
That's right.
Why not? What is that going to
Yeah,
cost us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's one of the greatest things about.
Does that all make sense to you
Well,
in your
Definitely,
worldview?
definitely.
Sure.
Okay.
For sure.
I think that's one of the greatest things about being physically immortal is that we have more of a feeling. We have a feeling to clean up the mess, to really make this our environment worth the living. You know, I don't want to live in that which is abuse. I'm not doing it. You know, but people just take for granted more or less this is the way life is. And I'm saying we can change the way life is. But we have to have a real devotion and a real dedication and a feeling to do that. Because if we're not going to be around here long, most human beings just don't put that much into living.
Exactly.
I agree.
Yeah, the other missing part of this, too, is that
Yeah.
it's one thing, and it's very important to feel the divine body you are, and each of us are, but we need to feel also the divine bodies that are around us that really want to live, to have that connection, because too often we've been these lone identities and not really united. There needs to be a uniting of people who really want to live, who want to create a deathless world.
Yes.
We're too scattered. We're too, death is united. Death is organized. It's
Yeah.
an organized system.
That's you're totally right.
And it has
It's
been
ritualized.
Yes,
it's
ritualized,
ceremonialized. It's
and
funded.
yeah. And I see a
sure.
lot of people, great people, who really feel living and feel physically immortal, but they're off on their lone identity trips, their truth paths. And this is what I'm saying. Let's quit making an altar to truth. Let's build a body.
No.
Let's build a body that will not die in this earth. I mean, then the truth is going to live on and on and on because you're alive. But if you die, there's no truth. There's no puzzle to figure out. There's no equation anymore. There's no television to watch. There's no books to read because you're dead. Now, I know this is controversial to a lot of immortals, maybe, maybe not, but we're talking about this physical body living forever, not spiritual immortality where I die and the spirit goes on. So I let this body die, there is no enjoyment of life. So it's a serious thing that we start uniting here in this world and really, because I feel in that unison, we are a power that can swallow up death. I think we're getting some signals.
I'm weighing what you're saying. And I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I want to throw in also, I have.
Yeah, that's right.
I would just say that I don't think our experience ends just because we don't have a physical body.
Okay.
And this is maybe
Okay.
a point of departure.
Well, I hope we have 10 more minutes here, Lee.
Yeah. Well, we have many lifetimes. Oh, no, wait a minute. This lifetime for a long time.
There you go. There you go.
I believe that we come and go, on one hand, if we choose to, when we become conscious enough to be able to make the choice. So, physical immortality, from my view, is born out of, no pun intended, consciousness.
Yeah.
And if we have the consciousness to break the cycle of death by abandoning, letting go of, releasing the belief system, then we are free to stay alive in this physical form, or if we want to change it, we change it. I mean, there are shapeshifters all over the planet that have been with us for millennia, who can turn into a bird and can turn into a snake and who can turn into an eagle and then come back into a human form. Great. I have no judgment about death, what we call death either, except myself. But I don't think it's inevitable. I'm not looking forward to it. I don't believe it's going to happen to me. And even the word deathless, I just want to say to you, brings up the idea of death. So in your presenting this to other people, I would think that you would want to use phrases like life full or fully vital.
Yeah,
if
I understand what
wanna
you're saying.
Okay, because you're accessing the idea of death
simply
simply by using the word of it, and that's not your trajectory.
Okay, this was brought up Friday night, too, when we were meeting, when you were there.
Yeah.
See, we believe in facing everything, avoiding nothing. Just because you don't say death is not going to not make it happen.
Right.
So we're come from a very gut level place. And also, I think it's important to say, in all due respect, Mitchell, here, that this idea of taking another body, that you're choosing to take another body, another form, has been going on for thousands of years. It's really got us nowhere as a human race. Okay.
That's right.
So what?
I understand.
So what we're saying, whether that's true or not, or that whether even that was it was real or not, because there's so many stories. People people make
Yeah.
up to about this or that to support their spiritual beliefs. And all we're saying is that it's time that we really own our bodies all the way, and not create some type of glorified death still. That, and that's what that is to me, the afterlives, the going and saying you're taking another body and so forth. It's just another way of dying. We're talking about your physical body. I want to be with Mitchell for 1,000 years. I want to be with Bernadeane 10,000 years from now. We change it all the time, but we learn, then we'll have that ability to feel and love and have an experience with each other that's deeper than whatever we could imagine without dying. This is what we're talking about.
Because we're
Totally.
We're closing,
No, I
I'm
understand.
trying to get this in with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because we're closing all exits to death.
I understand.
All exits, and
You
that
know.
means afterlife, spiritual life, reincarnation, all of the things you can name. We're absolutely.
We're in the room.
we're
facing each other.
We're here,
Right.
and we're taking the responsibility to do what you said that you can consciously choose to do. Either one. Well, I think it's really smart to choose who
Life.
we are right now. I'm not sure about all of these others anyway. I'm not sure about all of these other lives. But I am sure about this.
Yeah, right,
I'm here, and I
exactly.
know that's for sure. So
I appreciate that.
And how do we know that really that because we want to live so bad and death is so horrible really, and really right back into the DNA, human beings have wanted to live. I mean, they've searched for the fountain of youth, everything
Fountain
else.
of youth,
yes.
exactly.
And how do we know that these stories of afterlives, heavens, and everything else aren't just stories to make death more palatable?
Right.
Because it's so horrible. We don't like to lose loved ones and don't like to face it ourselves. So we make up stories that there's an afterlife and everything to make it more acceptable.
Sure.
Okay. So that's what. So we're
I
saying whether that's
understand.
true or not. We're saying that hey, we know we've got this body here. Let's go for it all the way, and I feel we can do it. There's
we've
an
got
unlimited.
nothing to lose.
Yeah, nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose but death.
We agree on that
There's an
part.
unlimited life to live.
Exactly.
So we got you here forever now.
Totally.
All right, there we
I'm
go.
here,
There we
man.
go.
I'm
In this
here.
body. In this body.
Sign me up, I love this body. I'm
All
having
right.
a ball.
I love it too.
I think bodies are
All right.
underrated. I've always said that.
I think your camera woman loves it too.
Definitely.
There we go.
In closing, I just want to quote the immortal words of
Yeah.
one of my great mentors, Woody Allen, who said, I
I
want
like him.
immortality, not through my art, but by not dying.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. And I liked how, I want to say my favorite guru said. I asked him how do you not die? He says refrain from dying.
There we go. I love it. On that note, Jim Bernadeane, thanks so much for being
Okay,
on the
thanks
show.
a lot.
It's really
We
great
enjoyed it a
having you.
lot.
So glad.
Thank you.
This is Mitchell J. Rabin for Better World. Thanks so much for joining us, and keep living. Look forward to